The marketplace on Nexus Prime was always busy. Hundreds of aliens from different worlds walked through the wide corridors, buying and selling things from across the galaxy. The air smelled strange, a mix of alien spices and foods that humans were still getting used to. Bright lights hung from the ceiling, and holographic signs advertised goods in dozens of languages. Minho walked beside Ambassador Daiho, his eyes wide with wonder. The 17-year-old had been on the station for 6 months now, but he still found something new to marvel at every day. He carried a small camera, taking pictures of alien artifacts and strange creatures he had never seen before. "Stay close," Daiho said gently. The older man smiled at Minho's enthusiasm. "We have a meeting in an hour with the Thalian delegates." Minho nodded, but his attention was caught by a shop selling crystals that seemed to glow from within. He stepped closer to get a better picture. As he backed up to frame the shot, he bumped into something hard. He turned quickly. "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't see." The creature he had bumped into was tall and covered in dark chitinous armor. It looked like a giant insect standing on 2 legs. Its eyes were multifaceted and cold. Behind it stood several more of the same species, all wearing military uniforms. "I'm really sorry," Minho said again, bowing slightly. "I wasn't watching where I was going." A larger creature pushed through the guards. Its armor was decorated with gold markings. This was clearly someone important. The creature looked down at Minho with obvious disgust. "A human," the creature said. Its voice came through a translator device, sounding harsh and mechanical. "You dare to touch a Velkoth guard?" Daiho quickly stepped forward. "Hive Prince Zathos, this is simply a misunderstanding." The boy meant no disrespect. "Please accept our sincere apologies." Zathos turned his attention to Daiho. "An apology is not enough, Ambassador. Your species must learn respect. Prostrate yourself and your charge before me." Daiho kept his voice calm and diplomatic. "That is not our custom, Hive Prince. However, I can offer formal compensation or any other reasonable." "Reasonable?" Zathos clicked his mandibles together in what might have been laughter. "You humans are new here. You have one small world. The Velkoth Dominion spans 12 systems. You will learn your place." A crowd was gathering now. Aliens of various species stopped to watch the confrontation. Some whispered to each other. Others simply stared. Minho felt his heart racing. He didn't understand what was happening, but he could feel the danger. "Ambassador, let's just go." "It's okay." "No," Zathos said. "You will not go." He made a gesture with one clawed hand. 2 guards grabbed Minho before anyone could react. The teenager struggled, but the Velkoth were much stronger. "Stop," Daiho shouted. "This is a neutral station." "You cannot." 2 more guards seized Daiho, forcing him to his knees. He could only watch as they dragged Minho into the center of the marketplace. Zathos drew a weapon from his belt. It looked like a rod of dark metal with glowing blue sections. "Let this be a lesson to all who forget their place." "Please," Minho said. His voice shook. "I didn't mean to." The weapon touched Minho's chest. The boy's scream was terrible. His body convulsed as the neural disruptor sent waves of agony through his nervous system. The weapon was designed to cause maximum pain before death. It took 5 seconds, but to Minho it must have felt like hours. Then he fell silent. His body went limp. Minho was dead. The marketplace was silent. Hundreds of aliens had witnessed the execution. Many looked uncomfortable, but none moved to intervene. This kind of display was brutal, but not unheard of among the more aggressive species. Daiho stared at Minho's body. His mind couldn't process what had just happened. The boy who had been taking pictures and smiling just minutes ago was dead. Murdered. For accidentally bumping into someone. The guards released Daiho. He crawled to Minho's body, cradling the teenager's head. Tears streamed down his face. Zathos looked down at him without emotion. "Remember this day, Ambassador. Remember what happens when lesser species forget their place." The Hive Prince and his guards walked away, leaving Daiho holding Minho's body in the middle of the marketplace. Within minutes, Daiho was in the human embassy section of the station. His hands shook as he activated the emergency communication system. The signal would reach Earth in seconds through the quantum relay network. He attached the security footage. Every public area on Nexus Prime was recorded. The entire incident had been captured from multiple angles. The galaxy would see exactly what happened. "This is Ambassador Daiho," he said into the recorder. His voice was hollow. "Emergency code Alpha 1. Human citizen Minho has been murdered by Hive Prince Zathos of the Velkoth Dominion. Sending all footage. Please advise. He sent the message and sat down heavily. He knew what would happen next. He had been a diplomat long enough to understand how humanity would respond to this. On Earth, in the United Earth Government headquarters in Geneva, President Yoonji Kang received the message in her office. She was a tall woman with sharp eyes and graying hair. She had been president for 3 years and had always hoped to avoid war. She watched the footage once. Then she watched it again. Her face showed no emotion, but her hands gripped the edge of her desk hard enough that her knuckles turned white. She pressed the emergency conference button on her desk. Get me Admiral Jiwon, Secretary Hyunwoo, and Dr. Sora, immediately. Tell them we have 50 minutes to make a decision. Her assistant's voice came through the speaker. Yes, Madam President. Should I alert the Security Council? Yes, emergency session. Tell them to prepare for war. Within 30 minutes, the conference room was full. Military leaders, intelligence directors, and council members filled every seat. President Kang stood at the head of the table. Behind her, a screen showed the frozen image of Minho's last moment. You've all seen the footage, she said quietly. A 17-year-old boy was murdered in public for accidentally bumping into someone. The Velkoth Dominion believes we will accept this. They believe we are weak because we have kept our true strength hidden. They are about to learn otherwise, Admiral Jiwon spoke up. She was an older woman with steel-gray hair and medals covering her uniform. Madam President, the fleet is ready. We have been ready for this day since we made first contact with hostile species. Give the word. President Kang looked around the room. I need a vote. All in favor of declaring total war against the Velkoth Dominion? Every hand went up. Not a single person voted against it. 53 minutes after Minho's death, President Kang stood before cameras broadcasting to both Earth and the entire galaxy. Her voice was cold and clear. Today, the Velkoth Dominion murdered a child of Earth. They did so publicly, believing we would accept this as the way of the galaxy. They are wrong. As of this moment, a state of total war exists between humanity and the Velkoth Dominion. We will not stop until justice is served. We will not negotiate. We will not forgive. To every species watching, stay out of our way. The broadcast ended. Across the galaxy, billions of aliens watched in confusion and disbelief. War over one death? It seemed insane. They didn't understand humans yet. But they would. The Galactic Council building was a massive structure floating in space near the center of known civilization. Inside, representatives from over 300 species gathered in the Great Chamber. The news of humanity's war declaration had spread quickly. Councillor Vrex of the Thalian Confederacy stood to speak. He was a tall, thin creature with blue skin and 4 arms. This human response is irrational. One death does not justify war. The Velkoth Dominion is powerful. Humanity has one world, maybe 200 ships. This will be over in days. Many council members agreed. Humans were emotional creatures, everyone knew that. They would realize their mistake soon enough when faced with real military power. Back in the Velkoth home system, Hive Prince Zathos sat in his palace watching the human declaration. He clicked his mandibles in amusement. Foolish mammals. They would learn respect through pain. He called his military commander. Send the 3rd Fleet to the human home system. 50 warships should be more than enough. Have them demand immediate surrender. If the humans refuse, destroy their defense stations and bombard one of their cities. Just enough to teach them their lesson. The commander bowed. It will be done, Hive Prince. 3 days later, the Velkoth 3rd Fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. 50 warships arranged themselves in battle formation. Their commander, Fleet Master Krith, expected to see a small defense force scrambling to meet them. Instead, his sensors showed something impossible. 372 warships waited for them. Not cargo vessels or converted civilian ships. These were pure warships built for battle. Their designs were aggressive and unfamiliar. Their weapons were already charged and ready. Where did they get those ships? Krith demanded. His crew had no answer. Human intelligence reports showed nothing like this. A transmission came through. The human face on the screen was calm and cold. This is Fleet Commander Tajin of the United Earth Defense Force. You have 10 seconds to power down your weapons and surrender. This is your only warning." Krith laughed. "Surrender? To these primitives? All ships, attack formation. Show these mammals what real warriors look like." The battle lasted 11 minutes. The human ships moved like nothing Krith had ever seen. They didn't line up for traditional broadside exchanges. They swarmed. Smaller ships zipped between the Velkoth vessels while larger ones hammered them with weapons fire. Human railguns fired metal slugs at incredible speeds. Each hit struck exactly where it would do the most damage. Their missiles dodged and weaved around defensive fire as if they were thinking for themselves. Their point defense system shot down nearly every Velkoth weapon before it could hit. Krith tried to order a retreat, but human ships had already blocked every hyperspace exit point. His fleet was trapped. One by one, Velkoth ships went dark as their systems were disabled. The humans targeted engines and weapons, leaving life support intact. They were taking prisoners, not slaughtering crews. When the last Velkoth ship was disabled, a human destroyer pulled alongside Krith's flagship. Marines in powered armor cut through the hull and boarded. The Velkoth crew tried to fight but were quickly overwhelmed by weapons that stunned rather than killed. A human captain walked onto the bridge. She was a young woman with hard eyes. Her name tag read, Yuna. She looked at Krith with disgust. "Open a channel to Hive Prince Zathos," she ordered her communications officer. When the connection was established, Yuna spoke directly to Zathos. The Hive Prince was watching from his palace throne room, his mandibles trembling. "Tell your people we're coming," Yuna said. "Not for territory, not for resources, for every single one of you who had a hand in that boy's death. Run if you want. Hide if you can. It won't matter. We will find you." She cut the transmission. News of the battle spread across the galaxy within hours. The reaction was shock and confusion. How did humanity have such a fleet? Where had they been hiding it? On Earth, Dr. Sora called a press conference. She was the head of human intelligence, a small woman with sharp features and glasses. She stood before cameras broadcasting to the entire galaxy. "For 70 years, humanity has been expanding," she said calmly. "We have colonized 12 star systems beyond Earth. Each colony has been building ships, training soldiers, and preparing for the day when someone would test us. That day has come." The galaxy watched in stunned silence as she brought up star maps. System after system appeared on the display, each one showing human settlements, shipyards, and military installations. "The ships you've seen around Earth were always just the guard force for our homeworld, Doctor," Sora continued. "The real fleet has been hidden in deep space. We have 3,000 warships ready for combat. We have production facilities that can build hundreds more. And we have been training for this moment since we first encountered hostile species." She paused, looking directly into the camera. "We kept this secret because we learned from history. New species that appear weak get bullied. Species that appear strong get challenged. We chose to appear weak while we grew strong. Now you know the truth." In the Velkoth Palace, Zathos watched the broadcast. His confidence was gone. 3,000 ships, 12 systems. This was not a minor species. This was a hidden empire. He called an emergency meeting of his military leaders. "Mobilize everything. Every ship. Every soldier. The humans think they can threaten us. We control 12 systems too. We have 2,000 warships. We will crush them." But his voice shook as he spoke. Deep down, he knew he had made a terrible mistake. The Galactic Council reconvened in emergency session. The mood had changed dramatically. Councillor Vrex no longer looked confident. "We need to mediate this conflict. Both sides should stand down and negotiate." A human representative stood to respond. It was Ambassador Nari, who had replaced Daiho. She was a middle-aged woman with a stern expression. "There will be no negotiation," she said firmly. "The Velkoth Dominion murdered a child in cold blood. They did it publicly, as a show of power. They will face justice. If other species wish to defend them, they will face the same consequences. This is not a request. This is a statement of fact." The council chamber was silent. No one volunteered to defend the Velkoth. In the Human Military Command Center on Unity Station, a secret facility in the Kepler 442 system, Admiral Jiwan reviewed the battle plans with her staff. Maps and tactical displays covered every wall. The Velkoth are mobilizing their full fleet, reported General Junho, commander of ground forces. Intelligence suggests they'll make a stand at Velkoth Prime, their capital world. Admiral Jiwan nodded. Good. That makes our job easier. We'll surround the planet and cut off all escape routes. No one leaves until Zathos stands trial. Captain Seo Hyun, head of Special Operations, spoke up. What about civilian casualties? The planet has billions of Velkoth citizens. We target only military assets, Admiral Jiwan said firmly. This is not genocide. This is justice. We're after their leadership and military, not their people. Dr. Min Jae, director of weapons research, added, Our new electronic warfare systems can disable their ships without destroying them. We can capture their fleet intact if needed. Admiral Jiwan looked at the map of Velkoth Prime. Prepare the fleet. We move in 3 days. This war ends with Zathos in chains, not in a grave. We're not murderers like him. We're soldiers seeking justice. Across human space, thousands of ships prepared for battle. Marines trained for boarding actions. Pilots ran simulations. Engineers checked every system twice. Everyone knew what was coming. On Earth, Minho's parents received a message from President Kang. She promised them that their son's death would not be forgotten, that justice would be served, that no other parent would lose their child this way. The galaxy held its breath. The largest human military operation in history was about to begin. The Velkoth Dominion, which had stood for over 1,000 years, was about to learn what happened when you killed a human teenager. The human fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. 1,400 warships appeared around Velkoth Prime like a steel net closing around prey. The sight was terrifying. On the planet below, sirens wailed. The Velkoth had assembled their grand fleet here. 1,800 warships plus orbital defense platforms and ground weapons that could fire into space. They thought they were ready. Captain Donghyuk stood on the bridge of the carrier Busan's Pride. He watched his tactical display as the human fleet moved into position. Every ship knew exactly where to be. They had practiced this maneuver 1,000 times. Deploy the curtain generators, he ordered. 400 specialized vessels moved forward. They activated devices that humanity had developed in secret for decades. Within an hour, an invisible field surrounded the entire planet. No ship could enter or leave hyperspace through it. Communications beyond the field became difficult and unreliable. Velkoth Prime was cut off from the rest of the galaxy. Captain Donghyuk opened a broadcast channel. Velkoth vessels, this is your only chance to surrender. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. You will be treated fairly under the laws of war. Resist and you will be destroyed. The Velkoth commander's response was defiant. We do not surrender to mammals. All ships attack! The battle for Velkoth Prime began. 1,800 Velkoth ships charged forward. They outnumbered the human attackers, but numbers alone don't win battles. The human ships released clouds of small drones, thousands of them, each one smart enough to make its own decisions. They swarmed over the Velkoth vessels like angry insects, overwhelming point defense systems and disrupting sensors. While the Velkoth ships were distracted by drones, human electronic warfare specialists went to work. They sent viruses and jamming signals that confused Velkoth computers. Ship-to-ship communications broke down. Targeting systems gave false readings. The Velkoth fleet began firing at shadows. Then the human railguns opened fire. The weapons fired solid metal slugs at a significant fraction of the speed of light. Each shot was timed perfectly, coordinated with every other human ship through advanced computer systems. The Velkoth shields, designed to stop energy weapons, did almost nothing against solid projectiles moving that fast. But the humans were careful. They aimed for engines and weapons. Life support systems were left intact. Ship after ship went dark but didn't explode. The humans were disabling, not destroying. Lieutenant Jiho led a Marine boarding team onto a disabled Velkoth dreadnought. His team of 30 soldiers moved through the ship with practiced efficiency. They wore powered armor that made them stronger and faster than any Velkoth warrior. The Velkoth crew tried to fight. They outnumbered the humans by more than 20 to 1. But the Marines had trained for this. Their weapons fired stun bolts that knocked Velkoth unconscious without killing them. Within 20 minutes, the entire crew of 800 was secured. Ship secure, Jiho reported. No casualties on either side. Prisoners ready for transport. Similar scenes played out across the battlefield. The Velkoth fought bravely, but they were fighting a war they didn't understand. The humans had planned every detail, every tactic, every contingency. After 6 hours, half the Velkoth fleet was captured or disabled. The rest tried to retreat to the planet's orbital stations. The humans let them go, then surrounded those stations and cut off their supply lines. The battle was over. The siege began. For the next week, the human fleet maintained its position. They didn't bombard the planet. They didn't threaten civilians. They simply waited and broadcast a simple message on repeat. Surrender Hive Prince Zathos and all members of his inner circle for trial. No harm will come to anyone else. You have 7 days to comply. On the planet, panic spread. The Velkoth people had never seen their military defeated so completely. Their leaders had promised them easy victory over the weak humans. Now those same leaders were nowhere to be seen. In his bunker deep beneath the capital city, Zathos raged. Where is our fleet? Where are our reinforcements? His advisors had no good news. The other systems are trying to send help, Hive Prince, but the humans have blockaded all approaches. Any fleet that tries to reach us is intercepted and captured. Then we fight from the ground. Use the civilian population as shields. The humans won't dare. The humans aren't bombing anything, another advisor interrupted. They're just waiting. Our people are demanding we surrender you. Zathos froze. What? The people know you killed that human boy. They've seen the footage. They know this war is your fault. There are protests in every city. They want to hand you over to save themselves. On the 7th day, the Velkoth government contacted the human fleet. They were ready to negotiate. Admiral G1 herself took the call. There is nothing to negotiate, she said simply. Surrender Zathos and his conspirators, or we will come down and get them ourselves. The Velkoth official hesitated. If we do this, what happens to our world? To our people? Your people will be safe. Your world will be free. We have no interest in conquest. We only want justice. The official made his decision. Give us 24 hours. 23 hours later, Velkoth security forces stormed Zathos's bunker. He tried to escape through secret tunnels but found them already blocked. His own people had betrayed him. When they dragged him to the surface, Captain Seo-hyun and her special forces team were waiting. She looked at the Hive Prince with cold eyes. Hive Prince Zathos, you are under arrest for the murder of Minho, a citizen of Earth. You will be transported to Nexus Prime to stand trial. Do you understand? Zathos said nothing. His mandibles trembled. Over the next 3 weeks, human forces systematically dismantled the Velkoth Dominion. Each system was isolated and given the same choice: surrender the local leaders who supported Zathos or face military action. Most surrendered. A few tried to fight. Those battles were short. Commander Hana's intelligence teams had infiltrated Velkoth communications months ago. They knew where every ship was, where every leader hid, where every weapon was stored. The Velkoth had no secrets left. 30 days after Minho's death, the war was over. The Velkoth Dominion was defeated. Over 1,200 officials were in human custody, awaiting trial. Not a single civilian had been intentionally harmed. The trial was held on Nexus Prime in the very marketplace where Minho had died. Ambassador Daeho read the charges against Zathos. Minho's parents sat in the front row watching in silence. The trial was broadcast across the galaxy. Every species watched as humans demonstrated their concept of justice. Evidence was presented. Witnesses testified. Zathos was given a chance to defend himself. The verdict was unanimous. Guilty of murder. The sentence was life imprisonment, not execution. Humans, it turned out, didn't believe in state-sanctioned killing even for murderers. Zathos would live out his days in a human prison, thinking about the boy he had killed and the empire he had destroyed through his arrogance. When the trial ended, President Kang addressed the galaxy once more. This war was never about conquest. It was about justice. Hive Prince Zathos killed an innocent boy to demonstrate power. We have demonstrated that such actions have consequences. Let every species in the galaxy understand. Human life is not cheap. Our laws are not suggestions, and justice delayed is justice denied. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity was not weak. They were patient. And when pushed, they were unstoppable. The former Velkoth systems were quiet now. Human ships patrolled their space, but not as conquerors. They came as temporary guardians, helping the Velkoth people rebuild their government. President Yunji Kang stood before cameras once more, this time speaking to both humanity and the former Dominion. Her words were measured and clear. We did not come to build an empire. We came for justice, and justice has been served. We will help the Velkoth people establish a free government, then we will leave. This is our promise. The galaxy watched with fascination. No species in recorded history had ever conquered territory and then simply given it back. This was not how power worked, but humans were different. Ambassador Nari gave an interview that was broadcast across every world. The journalist asking questions was nervous, afraid of offending the species that had just destroyed a galactic power in 30 days. Ambassador, many species are asking the same question. Where did humanity get this military power? How did you hide it for so long? Nari smiled slightly. We studied history. When new species appear weak, they get bullied. When they appear strong, they get challenged. So we chose to appear weak while we grew strong. We colonized 12 systems beyond Earth. We built shipyards on 43 moons and asteroids. We spent 70 years preparing for the day someone would test us. But why prepare for war? Why not focus on peace? We wanted peace, Nari said. But we learned that peace only works when you can defend it. The galaxy operates on rules of power. We made sure we had enough power that no one would dare break those rules against us. Minho should have been safe on Nexus Prime. He wasn't because the Velkoth thought they could kill a human without consequence. Now every species knows there are always consequences. The interview was watched by billions. The message was clear. Humanity was not to be trifled with. The Galactic Council held another emergency meeting. This time the atmosphere was different. Species that had ignored humanity now competed to establish better relations. Trade agreements were offered. Cultural exchanges proposed. Military alliances suggested. The Council offered humanity something unprecedented, a permanent seat among the great powers. President Kang arrived for her first council session. The chamber was designed to intimidate, with massive columns and lighting that made everything feel vast and cold. She walked in confidently, her delegation following behind. High Chancellor Vorath of the Kryn Empire greeted her. He was a massive creature covered in scales, used to towering over other species, but his voice was respectful now. President Kang, welcome. We hope this marks a new era of cooperation between our peoples. That depends, Kang said simply. The galaxy has operated under certain assumptions for too long. That might makes right. That new species can be bullied. That individual lives don't matter. Those assumptions cost a 17-year-old boy his life. We're here to make sure that never happens again. During the session, Councillor Vrex stood to speak. The Thalian who had mocked humanity's declaration of war now looked uncomfortable. On behalf of the Thalian Confederacy, I wish to apologize for my earlier statements. I underestimated humanity's resolve and strength. President Kang nodded. We don't need apologies. We need change. The galaxy needs laws that protect all species equally. Laws with actual enforcement. Any species that harms human citizens will face consequences. But more than that, any species that harms innocent beings should face consequences. We're not asking for special treatment. We're demanding justice for everyone. The council was silent. Then, one by one, representatives began to nod in agreement. Within weeks, the Universal Sentient Rights Act was drafted. It established clear protections for individuals of all species. Violations would be met with military intervention by a coalition force. Humanity volunteered to lead that coalition force. Back on Earth, life was slowly returning to normal. But the war had changed humanity. They were no longer the naive newcomers to the galactic stage. They had proven themselves in the most brutal way possible. Ensign Minji had fought in the Battle of Velkoth Prime. She was young, only 23, and the war had been her first real combat. When she returned home on leave, she visited Minho's grave. The memorial was beautiful. A simple stone with his name and dates. Beneath it read, "He went to the stars in peace. We followed to bring justice." Minji left her service medal at the grave. She had it inscribed, "Justice served. Rest easy." Dr. Suho had been a scientist before the war, studying alien biology and advocating for peaceful coexistence. The war had not changed his beliefs, but it had changed his understanding. He now led cultural exchange programs with the Velkoth, teaching their young about human values, learning about their culture in return. He wrote in his journal, "Peace through strength was not what I wanted, but it works in this galaxy. Perhaps someday we can have peace through understanding instead. Until then, we maintain our strength so that understanding has time to grow." Ambassador Deho had resigned after the war. He could not continue in diplomacy after watching Minho die, but he found new purpose running a foundation that trained young diplomats. He told his students, "Diplomacy only works when backed by strength. Never forget that. Be kind, be fair, seek understanding. But always remember that behind your word stands the most powerful military force in the galaxy. That is not a threat. It is a promise of protection." Admiral Jiwan, now promoted to Supreme Commander of Human Defense Forces, unveiled what became known as the Human Doctrine. It was presented to military leaders from allied species at a conference on Unity Station. The doctrine was simple but revolutionary. Any attack on human citizens would be met with overwhelming force. But that force would be controlled and focused only on those responsible. Military action would always be followed by judicial process. Conquered territories would be returned to self-governance as quickly as possible. And humanity would maintain the strength to enforce these principles forever. A Thalian general raised his hand. "This doctrine combines maximum force with maximum restraint. How do you maintain such discipline in war?" Admiral Jiwan smiled. "Because we fight for principles, not for hate. We went to war because Zathos violated justice. If we had violated justice ourselves through unnecessary killing, we would have become no better than him. Our strength comes from knowing exactly what we're fighting for and never losing sight of that." Military academies across the galaxy began studying human tactics, not just the weapons and strategies, but the ethics behind them. How to wage war effectively while maintaining moral standards. It was a new concept for many species. A human journalist named Sunwoo interviewed Rear Admiral Yuna, the captain who had captured the first Velkoth fleet. She asked the question everyone was thinking. Was it worth it? We lost nearly 200 personnel. We spent enormous resources. We revealed ourselves to a galaxy that now fears us. All for one life. Was it worth it? Yuna looked at the camera. Ask me that question in 100 years when no one remembers what it was like before. When human children can travel the stars without fear. When our people are respected not because we're strong, but because everyone knows our laws actually mean something. Ask me then if one boy's life was worth fighting for. The answer will still be yes. The interview went viral. It was shared across human space and beyond. It captured something essential about humanity that other species were still learning to understand. Humans valued individual life in a way that seemed irrational to many aliens. They would move mountains for a single person, start wars over a single death, and they would win those wars through a combination of overwhelming force and strict moral discipline. Professor J1 of the New Terra Institute published a study that became required reading at alien military schools. It was titled Understanding Humanity, a Study in Contradictions. The conclusion was simple. Humans are the most peaceful and most dangerous species in the galaxy. They extend friendship freely but enforce accountability absolutely. They plan patiently but act decisively. They believe in mercy but never forget injustice. Understanding humanity requires accepting that they are not one thing. They are all things, balanced in ways we are still learning to predict. Approach them with respect and honesty, and you will find loyal allies. Threaten what they hold dear, and you will learn why so many human phrases include the word hell. The galaxy was learning. And the lesson was this: humanity had arrived as a major power and they were here to stay. 5 years had passed since the 30-day war. The galaxy had changed in ways both subtle and profound. The Galactic Council chamber looked different now. Where once there had been only cold architecture designed to intimidate, there now stood a memorial. A holographic statue of Minho, forever 17, smiling at something beyond the viewer's sight. The inscription beneath was written in every galactic language, in memory of all innocents lost to injustice. May such deaths never be forgotten and never repeated. President Yunji Kang, now completing her second term, attended a ceremony marking the formal independence of the last former Velkoth system. The new Velkoth Democratic Federation had elected its first free government. They had chosen a parliamentary system similar to what several human nations used. The Velkoth Prime Minister, A young leader named Thraxus shook Kang's hand. 5 years ago, your species destroyed our empire. Today you help us build something better. I do not understand humans, President Kang, but I am grateful for them. Kang smiled. We never wanted to destroy you. We wanted justice for one boy. The fact that it led to freedom for billions of Velkoth citizens is something we are proud of. The war had fundamentally changed galactic civilization. The Universal Sentient Rights Act was now enforced across most of known space. Violations were rare because everyone had seen what happened when you broke those laws. The number of interstellar conflicts had dropped by 70%. Aggressive empires that once acted with impunity now thought twice before starting wars. The galaxy was not at peace, but it was more peaceful than it had been in centuries. Admiral Jiwan, now in her 70s, oversaw the transformation of humanity's military. Half the fleet now served in the Galactic Peace Fleet, a multilateral force that responded to humanitarian crises and enforced council laws. Human tactical officers trained personnel from dozens of species, but the other half remained ready. Hidden shipyards still produced new vessels. Training exercises continued. Humanity had learned its lesson. Peace requires the strength to defend it, and that strength must never be allowed to weaken. On Earth, a new university had opened in Seoul. The Minho Institute for Galactic Understanding trained diplomats, cultural ambassadors, and peacekeepers. Its director, Professor Ariam, explained the philosophy to each new class. Minho went to the stars to build bridges between species. He died because the galaxy did not yet understand that every life matters equally. We teach you 2 things here. First, that all sentient beings deserve respect and protection regardless of their species. Second, that true peace requires the strength to defend those principles. Minho would have wanted us to keep building bridges, but he would also want us to make sure no one else dies while trying. The first graduating class included students from 23 different species. Even Velkoth students studied there, learning alongside humans who had fought against their empire 5 years earlier. They all took an oath written by Minho's parents. I will seek understanding before conflict. I will extend compassion before judgment. I will protect the innocent regardless of cost. I will remember that peace is not the absence of war but the presence of justice. On Nexus Prime, the station where everything began, life had returned to its normal bustle. The marketplace was busy again, though it now bore a different name, Memorial Plaza. A young human girl named Seoyeon arrived at the station. She was 16, from the colony world New Horizon, here to participate in a student exchange program. She was nervous but excited, carrying a worn copy of Minho's biography in her bag. She walked through Memorial Plaza, looking at the memorial stone that marked where Minho had died. A young Velkoth shopkeeper called out to her, "Welcome, human friend. Please visit my stall. I have beautiful items from my homeworld." Seoyeon smiled and walked over. The shopkeeper, whose name was Crix, showed her crystals and artwork. They talked about their worlds, their cultures, their hopes for the future. Just 2 young people from different species making friends. This was what Minho had died for. A galaxy where humans could walk safely among aliens, where fear had been replaced by respect, where strength enabled peace instead of preventing it. Back on Earth, Minho's grave was visited by hundreds of people every year. His parents, Jaemin and Wiyun, came on every anniversary. They were elderly now, their hair gray, their steps slower, but they never missed a visit. This year, President Kang came to pay her respects. She was retiring after this term, ready to pass the leadership to someone younger. She gave a short speech to the gathered crowd. 5 years ago, we gathered here in grief and fury. Today we gather in remembrance and hope. Minho's death changed everything. It changed humanity's path and the galaxy's path. His name will be remembered for centuries, not as a victim, but as the catalyst for a better universe. He went to the stars as an ambassador of peace. In the end, he became one, just not in the way anyone expected. As people began to leave, Yaemin turned to Haeun. Do you think he would have understood? All of this, the war, the changes, everything that came after? Haeun looked at the memorial. Beneath Minho's name were carved the names of the 187 human personnel who had died in the 30-day war. Then she looked beyond, at the children playing in the park. Human children and alien children together, safe. Yes, she said softly. He wanted to build bridges to the stars. We just made sure those bridges would last. In the Galactic Council archives, a document was preserved. Every new council member read it. Every military leader studied it. Every diplomat memorized it. The document was simple and direct. It read, Official Record of the 30-Day War. On this date, Hive Prince Zathos of the Velkoth Dominion executed human citizen Minho without trial or justification. Within 1 hour, humanity declared total war. Within 30 days, the 12-system Velkoth Dominion ceased to exist as a political entity. Humanity prosecuted this war with unprecedented efficiency and restraint. Civilian casualties 0 intentional, 12 accidental. Military casualties inflicted 47,832. Prisoners taken 156,234, all repatriated after trial. War criminals convicted 1,247, all serving sentences under galactic law. This record stands as proof. Humans do not start wars lightly, but they end them decisively. They value peace, but they value justice more. They extend mercy freely, but never forget offense. They will negotiate any dispute, but will not negotiate their principles. To all species, harm a human at your peril. They will come for you. They will find you. And they will ensure the galaxy remembers what you did. They call it justice. We call it the human way. Forget this lesson at your peril, the galaxy had learned. In the 5 years since the war, no species had dared to harm a human citizen. No empire had challenged human resolve. The mere threat of facing humanity in battle was enough to make even the most aggressive civilizations think twice. But humanity had also learned. They had learned that their strength came with responsibility. That power without morality was tyranny. That justice without mercy was cruelty. So they used their power carefully. They intervened when necessary, but always with restraint. They enforced laws, but always fairly. They maintained their military might, but never used it for conquest. Admiral Jiwan, at a ceremony marking the 5th anniversary of the war's end, spoke to assembled military personnel from dozens of worlds. We built this fleet to protect our people. Now we use it to protect everyone's people, but never forget why we built it in the first place. If the galaxy returns to its old ways, if might makes right again, we will remind them why they changed. Peace through strength is not just our doctrine. It is our promise. The assembled officers saluted. They understood. They were guardians now, not conquerors. Protectors of justice, not instruments of revenge. As the ceremony ended and the officers dispersed, Admiral Jiwan stood alone for a moment, looking at a photo she kept in her pocket. It was Minho smiling at the camera, taken just days before his death. "We kept our promise, kid," she whispered. "The galaxy is better now, safer, more just. It cost us a lot, but it was worth it. You would have made a great ambassador. You became one anyway." She put the photo away and walked toward her shuttle. There was always more work to do, more peace to maintain, more justice to ensure. The galaxy had learned humanity's lesson. One life matters, justice is not negotiable, and when humans make a promise, they keep it, no matter the cost.